And we welcome you to another edition of This is Wrestling. It is Versage, along with the one and only Hornsey, Zach McGibbon. Hornsey, it is great to talk to you again. How are you?
Doing pretty good, Mr. Versage. Feeling good. Great to get back into the swing of things with you. And there's a lot happening in the world of professional wrestling that looking forward to talking about.
We hope all of you have enjoyed the Unreal series, 4 of the 5 parts that are out. I know the C4 review with yourself and Tanner Ryle was out, and still we will have a special Forbidden Door preview coming up later on this week. So as you said, a ton to get to. WWE in the news, AEW in the news. My man Karrion Kross has always been in the news.
Oh, yes.
Here for quite a while.
I was saying on the C4 reviews, like, I got all the updates about Karrion Kross I could ever want last week.
I don't think there was a wrestling media post that didn't involve Karrion Kross.
I got everything from an Ariel Helwani interview to a documentary, a self-made documentary, to, you know, all the wrestling websites covering it, to even one saying, hey, I might change my theme song going out on the independent scene. Like, anything I could ever want to know about Karrion Kross, I knew about last week and into this week as well.
Well, you should. Well-spoken, screwed by the WWE. Just a great wrestler.
Well, I was going to say, are you going to say great wrestler? Because that one is going to be the one that's contentious. If you're not having a great match with Sami Zayn, I don't know how great of a wrestler you can possibly be.
Don't be like that.
I'm just saying.
They had limits. They had limits put on them. Sami Zayn didn't try. I heard that rumor.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Didn't try.
Yeah, I've actually listened to a ton since we have last talked. I listened to that entire Karrion Kross interview with Ariel Helwani. I thought I enjoy Impulsive, the Logan Paul podcast, and because it's been bought by the WWE now, he's having more guests in the wrestling sphere. So I think that's good. I've enjoyed some of them. Spoiler alert, one I didn't enjoy, Tiffany Stratton.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, didn't
come across well?
No, thought she came across pretty pretentious, fairly high in herself, and a little bit diva-ish, if you can believe that.
Okay.
But
I did see the clip of the road rage incident that she mentioned, which was bonkers.
Yeah, but lots of good stuff. I listen. You know what? One of the best ones you can possibly go back and listen to if you like the old stuff. Spike Dudley did an interview with Chris Van Vliet, and it was fantastic. Like, there's a guy that left wrestling and never turned back to wrestling and doesn't care what people think about him or his time. Just some fantastic stories with him as well. But let's talk about all the things that are going on now, Zach, and we have to start, I think, with I'll ask you a question and you can just easily answer it for me.
Okay.
Where exactly do I catch all the WWE programming?
Well, right here in Canada, Lee, you can catch it on Netflix.
Yeah. If I were American, Zach, where would I catch it then? Because we had a new ESPN deal.
Yeah.
It's still going to be on Peacock. It's on USA. Where else is it on?
Well, you got the Raw on Netflix. You've got the SmackDown on USA Network, as you mentioned. The PLEs, the Paul Levesque events, as we're going to be calling them from now on, is going to be on the ESPN direct-to-consumer service that just launched today as we are recording. That new service for ESPN. You can now watch Saturday night's main event on Peacock. It will no longer be on NBC as part of the deal to kind of switch around and go a little bit earlier for the WWE. So those are the big spots to go to if you want to catch up on all the latest going on in World Wrestling Entertainment.
Including WrestlePalooza that I know has been trademarked now and looks like it is targeted right for the same day as All Out in
What?
Toronto with
Oh, that's just poor timing.
AEW.
Just poor timing. I can't believe it.
It's unlucky,
Oh,
is what it
so
is.
unlucky. You think Paul
Mhm.
Levesque has that calendar on there? He's like, I didn't realize AEW was on there. I should have circled that down. Darn it.
Yeah, I don't. Let's start there. I'm going to have to try to understand from a business perspective by thinking that you can put everybody out of business all the time. If you're successful, I guess. But, Zach, when do people remember wrestling? Like, they remember it for the Attitude Era against the NWO. They remember it now when it comes to AEW versus the WWE. In fact, one of the worst times in the entire business is after Vince bought WCW in the early 2000s. What happened to his product afterwards? No competition. Things started to decline. It feels like the WWE is trying to, I know they're not going to put AEW out of business right away, but it feels like that's the intent. And I don't understand it because if if you want casual fans as your complete base, those are fans that are very, very difficult to keep. You always need your hardcore fans. And it would be my contention that you want to keep doing this to a hardcore fan, the hardcore fan's not going to pick you. And I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong or if you think differently, that the AEW numbers are in fact going up since the WWE has been specifically targeting their dates. Now, maybe it's because their product is getting better. There's that.
Yep.
But I just don't understand the business model to all of this. So what do you make of this happening more and more? And it's not that it's happening, it's that we're hearing about it more and more. We're hearing about targeting specific events all the time. This has become a major topic with wrestling fans.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that they would eventually, turn their sights and ramp up the aggression. We saw even when things started with AEW in 2019 how, it wasn't as prominent right away, but they would do little things to really try and cut AEW's knees off, whether it be, counter programming NXT, like moving it off the network so that it could go on USA, so that they could go head to head with AEW right from the start. Try and cut off any sort of momentum for AEW. Obviously, that didn't work, and they were forced to move to Tuesdays after that. And then other things like the NXT PLEs recently, where they've tried to counter some AEW shows with the PLE. You have other things as well where you've got some direct competition. So it's been interesting now that they would like to say to the public that everybody is our competition, not just AEW. It's everybody. We're trying to battle for eyeballs, but now you see the main roster shows starting to be utilized to go against AEW, and you're starting to see more of a direct push against them. I think this ESPN deal also part of it. I think you saw as well that ESPN has taken off AEW from its wrestling section on the website. So they've been slowly doing that too. So all of that to say, I'm not surprised about it given the history of this company, the history of WWE. You go back to when Vince started or bought it from his father and taking out the territories, buying up all the time slots of the bunch of television stations across the US. That you see it with WCW and ECW buying up his competition. And if you're WWE, look at the last 20 years, you're the folks that control how much wrestlers are getting paid, and you are the main go-to promotion. I think some of that has to do with that, where they don't want to have that competition, where they want to fight with other promotions for talent, especially when it comes to contracts. They want to be able to keep contracts as low as possible, and try and continue to control that aspect of it. They want to be, when you say pro wrestling, the first thing for a lot of people is WWE. They want to continue to be that market dominance. And when you've had market dominance for the last 20 years before AEW arrived, and now you have a competitor that comes in, it's hard to adjust, say, well, let's have this competitor coming in and be part of it, right?
But
so
let me counter that with, okay, it happened in the early 2000s, give or take just over 20 years ago.
Mhm.
But let's just say that it happened, okay? Let's just say they were able to put AEW out of business. Between all the wrestlers that wrestle for AEW, which is quite a lot,
Mhm.
and some of the other promotions, and the most important thing to me is there's been a roadmap for this. Between Cody and the Bucks and Kenny and Hangman and the Elite, they started their own promotion. They decided that a bunch of independent wrestlers were going to get together and they were going to make something out of it. And they did. And the WWE just can't have all the wrestlers all the time. They don't have the programs, they don't have the time for that. I just think there's a roadmap out there now that if this ever happened again, then a bunch of people would just get together and go, hey, you know what? We're going to start something new. Come follow us. And people like the new cool thing. There was a radio station, I won't name it, in the Ottawa area that called itself The New for like 20 years.
Yes.
The New blankety blank.
Yeah. Some might call it a hot radio station.
But they were new for like 20 years.
Yep.
Trying to maintain that new cool factor. They were able to do it for a while. I just think there's a roadmap to do this. So I don't understand. Like, you make a lot of sense when you're talking about controlling the money, controlling contracts, all of that stuff. But your product's going to be better when there's competition out there. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me that you think that you can be the only one and that nobody else is going to go out there and do it. And I don't know if this is a hot take or not. For the first time in a long time, I have more respect for what AEW is doing because they are keeping their mouth shut about this.
Yes.
And I think that's really, really important. When you start to play the game and verbally attack the WWE and you have this back and forth, you're going to lose. Don't do it. Do your own thing. I feel like AEW has been doing that over the last little while. And that is one of the reasons why they're a little bit stronger right now.
Yeah.
Worry about yourself, folks. That doesn't mean be selfish. It just means don't be taking down other people. And I think AEW's done a fairly good job. What do you think this ESPN deal means? Because I know there are some people in the US that are quite upset about all the places and all the money that they are going to have to spend to get WWE programming.
Yeah, in the case of WWE going to ESPN and having those PLEs, those Paul Levesque events being put up on their service, I think it's a great deal for WWE. I mean, they just continue to make gorbs of money, and they see the increase that they're looking for when it comes to that library, or rather the live streaming stuff. The library is still up for grabs. So not only were they able to increase the money that they made from Peacock, but they could still utilize the library for something else and still make money off of it. So if you're WWE, you're high-fiving and you're saying, oh, this is a great deal. Plus you have the reach of ESPN in the States. It is, I know you look at the reports about ESPN with the cable subscribers that continue to go down each year, but ESPN still has a name for a lot of people. And ESPN was one of those channels that a lot of wrestling promotions were looking at and saying, we need to be on this channel. And so WWE being able to have its PLEs on that, I think is a big win for them. And it continues to show just the money-making machine behind the WWE. For ESPN, it's kind of interesting because they've obviously launched that direct-to-consumer product. As again, we're recording today. They have just launched it today, and they have just been trying to work out deals. It sounds like there's going to be a new work deal with Major League Baseball as well to bring MLB.TV to ESPN. So for them, it's trying to get as much content onto the platform as possible so you could try to attract as many subscribers as possible to your direct-to-consumer product. And eventually, it's $29.99 right now, unless you are already a TV subscriber to ESPN in the States with certain cable packages. But you could get it for free. But if you don't have that, you would have to pay the $29.99. Don't be shocked when the price increases on that too, because I'm telling you, the amount of money that's being spent by ESPN for all of these, products, whether it be WWE or Major League Baseball or the other, items that they're looking to bring to its direct-to-consumer product, that they're eventually they're eventually going to have to raise that price to try and justify costs. But right now, it's just trying to bring as many subscribers in. And if you look at the pattern with a lot of these WWE deals, you look at with Fox, they started to, lose interest in WWE, did not renegotiate for a new deal. Interesting stuff with NBC, which I guess we'll talk about a little bit with some of the Saturday night's main event shows now going to Peacock. I think that's indicative of how they felt the performance was for that Saturday night's main event show on their networks. Plus, of course, you got now with ESPN making a lot of money or spending a lot of money for this product. I do wonder about eventual buyer's remorse, because there's been starting to be a little bit of a pattern here with a lot of these television networks and how they view WWE programming.
All right, let's talk a little bit in the WWE, just things that we haven't touched on. And how about the Naomi announcement of being pregnant and having to give up the title? Once again, something she did many years ago as well. What did you make and how they handled that?
I was a little surprised. I think, like a lot of people, when the announcement was made. Congratulations to her on having the new child on the way. It's now that title is vacated, correct? Obviously, she won't be able to defend it for a while. So I say, congrats to her on being able to have a child, and all the best to her. I think we've been pretty clear on this show in terms of just her wrestling ability, that we weren't exactly over the moon about her, defending the title each week, and when there's a lot of better names on there. But this is the era of WWE where you deserve it. I guess Naomi deserves it for being on the roster for so long. So I think it's going to bring a new direction to the title. I'm interested to see where they go with that. But congratulations to Naomi on having the new kid.
All right, let's talk some AEW. And I know that there'll be a Forbidden Door preview show coming out. So we're not going to talk specifics about what we think is going to happen Sunday afternoon, Eastern time in London. But let's talk about Will Ospreay going out on Dynamite and saying that he has not been cleared for Forbidden Door, yet that's why it is a lights out, unsanctioned match. When you first heard that, what did you think?
I can believe it, considering, as you mentioned, the match stipulation that they're going into. I think it's one of those classic things where I think there's absolutely some truth in that, but you kind of magnify it and you kind of put it times 10 and turn it into a work. And I think in this case, that's what's kind of happening here. If it were up to Will Ospreay, he would find any way possible to try and wrestle a straight match, continue to wrestle. But, he's got the neck injuries that's going on. And who knows if he's going to be out for All Out or not after this match. If they wanted to make sure he got on the show for Forbidden Door in the UK so that they could have one of their main acts that's from there be on the show. But it wouldn't shock me if he decides to take some time off afterwards. I thought the promo was well done. I'm interested to see where they go with that main event, which we'll save for the preview show, obviously later on. But it was. I think it's a shoot, but they are playing it up because you're going to see some spots on Sunday where they're going to really sell the neck. Similar to what Bryan Danielson did when he was having his last run, where he would always sell the neck as a central point of his matches.
So you believe that this is a partial truth that becomes more truth after the event?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think it's... I guess the question then would be for me, if this is neck surgery, there's no right time to do it? Some people don't get cleared in a year.
Yep.
If you have neck surgery. And the last thing in the world, I know that he wants to be on Forbidden Door in the UK, but where's All In next year, Zach?
All In is also in the UK.
Do you think if Will Ospreay is healthy, that he is going to either have or win the world title in that spot?
I believe he should, and if he's cleared at that point, yes.
So then my question becomes, if this is not like a life-altering, because from what I'm led to believe, and I did some research into this,
yep,
that this is not a fusion. This is not a Edge. This is not a, I mean, many have had it. Kevin Owens. This is not, you are one hit away from being paralyzed. This is some kind of swelling and damage around the herniated discs. Do you think he rehabs for a year so he doesn't have to have the surgery so he can be at that? Is that too far down the road? I'm just saying there are complications from neck surgery. And if something ever went wrong and he couldn't be at that next one, the All In show, probably with the world title around his waist, somehow, some way, that would make me think, do I absolutely have to do this? Can I rehab? Can it be okay? I don't know.
I think more wrestlers are rehabbing injuries more than what's being let on. You know, and you know this as well, Lee. When you've watched wrestling for a long time, there are wrestlers that they're always hurt when they're coming in. It's obviously different severities of injuries, of course, but they're not exactly, wrestlers aren't exactly coming in at 100% each and every time. So I think in the case of Will Ospreay, he's shown time after time that if he's can find a way to rehab it, if he could find a way to avoid surgery where it's not necessary, and can keep the injury, you know, under control and go at an extended period of time, then he will do it. So that's kind of my thought on the matter. I'm one of those people that's like, with the neck, you just don't want to mess with it. That's just my personal thinking. But I've just been around pro wrestling and seen pro wrestlers for a long time now, and how they address injuries. And a lot of the time it's like, all right, I'm just going to rehab this. I don't need surgery. I'm just going to keep this on the mend, and then I will be set to go in this amount of months or whatnot. And there was a report that came out today about Swerve Strickland. He was wrestling on a torn meniscus since 2019. So, you know, that's just kind of the mentality of a lot of wrestlers. Like, if I could still wrestle, if I could still take bumps, I'm going to keep on going. We saw that with Cody in WWE when he tore his pec. And all these shots that he took on his pec, he still went through with the Hell in a Cell match, did the match, and then was out for a while so that he could recover. So it's just the weird wrestling mindset sometimes for a lot of these guys.
So will we see an angle coming up, in your opinion, that wipes him out for a while at the show?
I think so. It's funny. Looking back on the All In match now, that angle that they did with Ospreay, where they had him come out on a stretcher, would have been the perfect way to kind of write him off for an injury.
But because Forbidden Doors in the UK, is that the only reason why they didn't do this?
I have a feeling that's why that Ospreay, that they're having Ospreay work this show. And again, you look at the stipulation. I know on paper you look at it, it's like, oh my gosh, it's going to be this hardcore steel cage match. But a lot of those matches, when you have multiple people in there, especially, you can work a different style, and it's not as much of a risk to your body, as weird as it sounds, as it would be taking normal bumps on a mat. So
The Swerve Strickland news I find odd. Okay, so he's been working on a torn meniscus since 2019. 6 years ago, before he's going into a match with Okada that they've been targeting the knee. It feels like this is a way to put it out there again to justify his time off.
Yep.
Do you think it's do you like the fact that wrestlers do this to kind of look at what the fans see and go, you know what, we'll give him a reason why it'll be okay that I'm gone?
You mean
Because I
like an
just find that
angle?
well, I find the timing of this news interesting. That he's been wrestling on a torn meniscus since 2019. Yet now he's got knee problems going into a match with Okada.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know that I love it.
I don't mind it. I mean, it's the classic thing for pro wrestlers of like putting it out there so that you could build a story in the match coming up. So, I know timing wise, it kind of seems like a little too perfect a lot of times, but
you can build up a knee injury like they have been without telling us that he's got a torn meniscus in the last 6 years.
Yep.
You're almost trying to make him seem better than what he is. Look how tough he's been. Look what he's done for you people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Not my favorite. Also not my favorite. Okay, explain this to me, Zach. Okay. I do think people should check out. As we sit here and tape, I just watched it about an hour ago. FTR and Brodito. I thought it was great.
Yes. Fantastic match.
Like really, really good. A lot of what tag team wrestling should be all the time in the top spots. I thought that this was fantastic. I'm having a hard time right now in my mind getting by the fact that, first of all, MJF was kind of just kicked out of the Hurt Syndicate and it was done. Like they built it. Oh, it's over. And rumors are, I have no idea why they stopped it, but rumors are is that somebody in the Hurt Syndicate did not like this. Didn't want MJF around. So they were going to stop it. Okay, sure. I don't know, build, and then just end it one day and it's over. That's not cohesive for me. Regardless of whether somebody liked it, didn't like it, whatever. I don't know the reasons why they stopped it. But they stopped it very suddenly. And now FTR and Brodito are both going to be, where have you heard this before, in a three-way dance for the tag team championships against the Hurt Syndicate.
Mm.
What's the line? If it looks like a duck, talks like a duck, walks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
Yep.
Okay, well, it looks like people in the Hurt Syndicate think that they can get their own way, and now it looks like the Hurt Syndicate are probably going to lose those tag team titles, and now they're probably not going to have their shoulders pinned to the mat in this match.
I was going to say, does that duck hurt people as well?
So I'm asking you, tell me I'm wrong. I'm just saying what this looks like is, hey, you were really hot. You had MJF in a pretty cool angle that a lot of people were giving attention to. You just dropped it. I don't know why you dropped it. Maybe Tony Khan just dropped it. I doubt it, but okay. And now we're getting a three-way tag team match for the world title. My money says, and this isn't about the predictions for the card. This is more about the Hurt Syndicate and maybe who they think they are. Are they going to be featured more? Are they pulling weight behind the scenes? I don't know. But it certainly looks like that on the surface to me, and I don't like it.
Yes, I agree with you on that one. It goes back to one of the weaknesses of Tony Khan, and a lot of times. Now, again, we're basing this off of, rumor and conjecture. maybe something will come out in the next little bit saying, oh, it was actually all of the idea of Tony Khan or whatever. But I'm looking at the patterns here and I'm seeing everything, and I'm going to assume that it has to do with some of the thoughts of the Hurt Syndicate and what they want to do with their creative. And it just goes back to one of the weaknesses of Tony Khan. Sometimes he just really has a tough time putting his foot down and saying, no, this is what we're going to do. This is how we are going to lay out this story. This is what I want to see in the end. And you guys, I've signed you guys to these contracts. I think you guys are valuable, and that's why I'm pushing you. But we have to work together here in order to come to the conclusion of this storyline. And I think in this case, he's kind of went down a little bit on the talent. He's kind of backing off and not putting his foot down, saying, all right, and just kind of trying to wipe his hands off of this very quickly so that he doesn't have to deal with it anymore. Instead of just saying, look, I signed you to this contract. I put the belts on you guys. This is what we're going to do to move forward, and this is the story I want to tell, and we're going to move forward with it. So whoever it is in the Hurt Syndicate that's making some noise about how they feel they're being treated, I'm going to say it's not Shelton Benjamin, based on the way that he has taken some pins. Otherwise, Shelton Benjamin all of a sudden getting some ego stroking going in, I highly, highly doubt that. So it's either MVP or Bobby Lashley that's kind of throwing their weight around and saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is how I want to be booked. You know, at the end of the day,
and one of them doesn't wrestle. Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty easy to narrow down here, Lee, on who it's could potentially be. But nonetheless, all that to say, I think it's just goes back to a weakness of Tony Khan not being able to put his foot down and say, hey, this is what we're going to do, and this is the plan. We're going to stick to it.
Yeah. So I'm not saying all of this is true. As you mentioned, this is rumors, conjecture, all of that stuff. But I'm trying to go on what we do know. What we do know is MJF was with them, and it got dropped just out of the blue.
Yeah.
Now they're having a tag team title tournament. Quarterfinals, semifinals, into the finals. And suddenly we're going to make the finals a draw to get this into a 3-team. It's just one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Like, just on its own. Like, the concept of we're going to have a full tournament to decide number one contenders for the belts, but yet in the finals, we're going to have a draw. And we're going to make it a 3-way dance. I just don't. Like, it's like if you said that in the meeting, I'm like, Zach, you're a valuable part of this group, but no. No, but hear me out. It's Brodito. Yeah. I'm hearing you. And it was a great match. But I don't understand the philosophy behind it. And it feels like somebody's trying to pull their weight behind the scenes, and it's kind of working. And it's the kind of working part that bothers me the most. Not, I mean, if it's Bobby Lashley, fine. I don't like it, but the fact that you mentioned it's kind of working, that's the part that bothers me, Zach.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see. But, like, do we really think that Brodito's gonna get the titles? Maybe. I don't think so, because it just sets up for FTR and Edge and Christian. Sorry, Cope and Christian.
There you go.
Yeah. At All Out. And maybe that match isn't for the belts. Maybe you have the Hurt Syndicate against Brodito for the belts, and you have the other match on the side. I don't know. One of the characters that I've liked watching the most, other than Karrion Kross, is Adam Page's character, since coming through, finally winning the belt, and kind of this, I don't care, cowboy. I'm not going to put up with your crap. I don't care if you're MJF or anybody else. I thought they booked him particularly strong. Until this week. So his match now with MJF that was going to be for the world title with the contract executed is now going to be the title can change hands on a DQ, a count out, and MJF does not have to use his contract. All based on the fact that he was going to light Mark Briscoe on fire. I guess Hangman's a caring individual. How long ago was it where he burned the whole house down of somebody?
It's about a year ago, I want to say.
Okay.
Year or two.
Yeah, burned somebody's house down.
Yep. An arsonist.
Yeah. But then when there was a lighter near Mark Briscoe, because nobody possibly could have been around to help Mark Briscoe. Nobody in that arena. I mean, Ricochet was there.
Yep.
Tough guy to get through.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, he's got all of these stipulations, and Hangman's just in the ring going, fine, you got it. I'm like, what? After all this, what? Tell me about the storyline and if it makes sense to you.
I'm in agreement with you. I was enjoying it up until this point. Still like the storyline. I think it'll be some good stuff going in. But this angle, the way to get out of MJF cashing in that contract, which again frustrates me that we're talking about cash-ins and executing contracts and whatnot. But in terms of as a way to get out of it, my guess is that might try and run it back for All Out to do this match again, is why they've got all these stipulations set up.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. The second that MJF said I don't have to execute my contract, fine, was like, yeah, he's not winning.
Yeah.
And he's still going to be involved in the title picture coming up. So I understand, I guess, the storyline. I just think they've booked Hangman really well and really tough. Not really caring about MJF's crap, anybody else. He's the hero cowboy that saved AEW. And then the first thing MJF does is like, oh, I got Mark Briscoe here. Oh, he's tied up. Looks like he's unconscious. Oh, I got a lighter. So that's what we do to get anything we ever want. We just threaten that we're going to light somebody on fire when Hangman burned down a guy's house a year ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is a difference between property and a human being, I guess. So
Hangman knew there wasn't anybody in the house.
That's true. I don't remember him saying I did a search around the building to make sure that we got the all clear.
Right. Maybe he did.
It is silly that we're talking about it like this, though.
Because why can't, and this was one of the strengths of AEW, why can't we just have Max tearing him down and Hangman saying, I'm going to shut you up, and the two wrestle? I feel like it's been one of their strengths as of late.
Well, you know what, Lee? Based on what we've seen in pro wrestling the last 2 weeks, what we need to do to settle this feud is puppets. We need more puppets in pro wrestling. We need to have...
look, you're going to bring up my man Dom losing.
Yeah.
And that's okay. What was the reaction with Vikingo retaining?
Got a lot of
over
boos.
My man Dom.
Got a lot of boos.
A lot of boos. Do you think my man Dom is still on track for that?
He'll probably beat Vikingo at the next show, yeah.
Oh, I would think so.
Yeah.
My man Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah. You know what? Dominic Mysterio, he should have a puppet too. I mean, if Finn Balor can bring out a puppet and Mr. Iguana can bring out a puppet, why not Dominic Mysterio at this point? Why don't you have a puppet? I'll bring a puppet.
Did you see any of TripleMania?
I saw it all.
And?
It was fine. It was fine. It was
fine. We know what fine means.
It was fine. It was an average show. It was not as good as the Worlds Collide event earlier this year. It's weird that they're calling their next show with AAA Worlds Collide as well. I don't know why we can't just change it up But so I have to preface it by saying the earlier worlds collide. But no, I mean TripleMania, it was fine. Like there wasn't really a standout match. The match I enjoyed the most was the tag match between Angel and Berto, I think his name is, against
Humberto, yeah.
Yes, Humberto. And he took on Psycho Clown. And all of a sudden I've forgotten his tag partner's name, but all he could do is wrestle in hardcore matches. But I am aware of Psycho Clown. That was the best match. But yeah, everything else was,
How about our man AJ Styles, who travels all over the world to interfere in people's matches? Australia,
yeah,
now Mexico,
yeah. 55 minutes, Lee.
Yeah.
5-5.
Yeah, that's the Australia show. I remember.
Yeah,
we all remember, Zach. But
yeah,
AJ's putting some miles on here to make sure that he gets what he wants.
that is some true hater energy to just go across the world just so that you can interfere in somebody's match.
Yep, twice.
Go to Australia, go to Mexico, probably be Japan next, maybe the UK,
I feel, that's dedication.
Yeah, that is some pure hatred.
Zach, I have to tell you that there was a lot of me cheering. Do you know what live spelled backwards is?
Is it, let me see here as I do my deductions here. Does it spell evil?
It does.
Yeah.
It does, Zach. And I have to admit, I was anything but evil in cheering in the G1 final. Not for my man Konosuke Takeshita.
Oh, you're almost there.
Almost.
Next time.
Next time. Who I really enjoy and I really like, and I think he's a hell of a wrestler, but there was a lot of me that wanted Evil to win that final.
For the content?
For the content.
Yes.
Now, I guess let's talk about it like in all seriousness about those two being in the final. Was that, I don't think it was a surprise that Takeshita.
There you go.
I think I said it. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I think I said it right. Our man Takeshita is in the final. I know I said it wrong there on purpose. I was waiting for you to correct me. I was waiting for you to correct me.
I was going to let it slide.
I did that one on purpose. But I was surprised Evil was in the final, and I wanted him to win when he got there. But were you surprised that's the way they went?
Yes, I was surprised. I thought this would be the chance. Like, this to me was the tournament where it's like, all right, we've got all these young guys here that are just waiting. They're waiting for that big push. They've already tried with Shota Umino technically, but Umino is just not that guy. But they've got other guys on the roster that they could look to and push. And I thought maybe this would be the chance to really, look at one guy, hone in on one guy and have him, he might go to the final and lose, but at least it would have been a push, right? And you could tell the story of Takeshita being able to beat a guy like Takeshita's this world-traveled guy, but and the up-and-comer, let's just say Yuya Uemura, he comes in, he loses, but he looks good in defeat against a guy like Takeshita, and you can say, you know what, in the future, that's a guy that can be in the main event for New Japan. But instead, they didn't do that. They went straight for heat, which God knows we need more heat in pro wrestling nowadays. We need more heat, especially in the summer months. Heat. And so we're going to get more heat with Evil and all the run-ins with House of Torture, an appropriate name. And yeah, I was surprised that Evil kept I shouldn't have been surprised because Evil has been somebody that's been consistently pushed by Gato. And he did go to the final. Not only did he go to the final, he beat one of those up-and-coming guys in Yota Tsuji in the semifinal, and in order to win, which sucked. And but at least we had some sanity with Takeshita winning. Is it a bad look on New Japan's part that they have to rely on the guy that's an AEW contracted wrestler? I know he's got a New Japan contract to him too, but he's mostly associated with AEW. That he's the one that goes all the way through in the tournament and wins so that he can main event their Tokyo Dome show later. Not great for New Japan, especially at a time when they need to build up stars. But yeah, this tournament, it indicated to me that they aren't confident in their young guys, because you would think that they would just look to a guy and try and push him. Gato in the past would take risks with guys and say, all right, I know the end path to this guy, I'm going to push him, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I'm going to see it through. But I think it means something that they haven't looked at a guy other than Umino earlier this year and pushed him to the moon to try and get something. I think it's indicative of what they feel about their talent roster right now.
I think the surprising thing for me was that when Takeshita defeated Zack Sabre Jr. in the semifinal, I kind of thought, okay, he's going to lose in the final because he's always going to have, I beat the champ.
Yep.
And he doesn't need to win the tournament because he beat the champ. And he isn't a New Japan only wrestler. So I kind of thought that was the way they were going to go. But to your point, when Evil was in there, I'm like, yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense either. And if you're going to go with somebody, see, to me, I would have gone and had somebody, regardless, go beat the AEW up and coming star. And you're not completely killing Takeshita. He's only, what, 25 now?
Yeah.
And he made the final and beat your world champion. And he's not even really in your promotion. So it's not like you're killing him off if you have a young guy beat him in the final, is it? I don't think so.
No.
You just had him beat Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is not... I found just some inconsistency with that. I would have had the young guy go and just win it all, whoever that was, whether it's Tsuji or another guy that Gator was going to push, because Takeshita in the final and beating Zack Sabre Jr. in the semis, he can just chase Zack Sabre Jr. and have all these great matches. But I guess they want him to be this, this massive star around, being in the Tokyo Dome, thinking he's going to put asses in seats. I don't know. It's an interesting choice to do that, because where is the future of your own organization? Your world champ lost in the semis, and then you didn't really have anybody else take out the AEW guy. So I don't know about the theory behind it or the way that I would have gone about it, but as a fan, I think it's cool to see Konosuke now in AEW, and maybe he wins the Continental Classic as well. I think I probably would have him win that now. And eventually a massive showdown with Okada, no?
I would certainly think that would be in the works.
I had our AEW superfan throw out all out that he thought Keshta and Okada would take on the Golden Lovers in Toronto, all out.
That would be an interesting match.
Putting those guys on the same side.
Yep. Well, technically, Okada has an affiliation with the Callis family, so.
Technically.
Yes.
But were you happy with the G1 as a whole?
From what I was able to catch, it was very frustrating to follow. I can't believe this is the same promotion that was my promotion of the 2010s, and with the same booker. I know Gato's been in there forever now. He's been in there 15 years, I think, at this point. And you look at bookers historically and how they're able to do, he's been able to be on top and successful for a long time, longer than a lot of wrestling bookers have, but I think we're starting to see the tail end here of the creative genius of Gato. I think his ideas are starting to falter, and I think something new needs to happen here in New Japan, because they signed that guy recently, that Olympian, and he's going to debut at Wrestle Kingdom, and I don't think people realize how big of a deal that is. Like, he is quite a big name in Japan. And so the fact that he's joining New Japan, I think, is a big deal. And if he's good at it, that could be something for New Japan to at least get a short-term burst and maybe a new star out of that. And you don't have to worry about building up your younger guys to try and fill that void that was left by Okada leaving and Ospreay leaving and Naito leaving in the end, and Tanahashi's retiring at the end of the year. So if that guy's good and he can translate to pro wrestling, they might have something there. Then, but otherwise, right now, New Japan, I'm pretty low on the product, and I think you could even see it in the Forbidden Door card. There's not a lot of New Japan presence. There is presence, but not a lot compared to previous years.
Before the preview show, are you excited about Forbidden Door?
I am. I'm looking forward to Forbidden Door. I think there's some interesting matches on the card. I don't know if it's as strong as previous shows, but I am still looking forward to the matches, specifically because it one of the big things too is it looks like they're going to have a lot of people in that building. I think the last number I saw was over 16,000 people in that building for Sunday. So I think that's going to help a lot in terms of atmosphere and environment. And again, matches on the card look pretty good. So it'll be interesting to see how the show comes out on Sunday.
Well, I know that there will be a Forbidden Door preview show coming up here on This Is Wrestling, and then you and Isaac will be right there afterwards to break it all down. There's been a ton of content. You got Clash in Paris coming up at the end of the month. You got some Saturday night's main event, All Out, and WrestlePalooza are going to happen. I mean, as we head towards September, it always gets busy because everyone kind of gets back in that normal routine, but you can really feel the calendar picking up when it comes to wrestling down the stretch here. And that will be magnified as well with these new ESPN deals being rushed through, and the fact that I think John Cena's got 11 dates left.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
His last match is going to be that Saturday night's main event on December 13th.
Which there was rumor that it was going to be on the same night as World's End on December 27th. So I'm glad that that's not happening.
I wonder if NBC put a kibosh on that and said, look, guys, we're not, especially because there was an NFL game scheduled that same night. Like, guys, let's settle this here.
I think wrestling fans get way too caught up in the head-to-head war because of the WWE doing this a little bit. Nobody wrestles with the NFL.
Nope.
So, there's an NFL game so this story probably just got magnified. Oh, the WWE's doing it in other spots. Yes, they are doing it in other spots. Do we really believe the WWE was going to go head-to-head with the NFL? Probably not.
No.
Not in that spot. Anyway, right after Christmas, when everybody's kind of home and looking for something to do after, holidays are great, Zach, but you spend a lot of time with family and you need to get some time away from the family.
Yeah.
Which usually means NFL.
Yes. No family league is what they call it, right?
I'm sure I'll talk to you again. How are you feeling about the Cowboys? We're only a couple of weeks here before.
Up and down. I'm not loving the Micah Parsons news, but I feel like he's going to get a deal signed day of the first game of the season, similar to what happened with Dak. I haven't seen that Netflix documentary yet about the Cowboys. I'm probably going to catch it in the next couple of days.
Yeah, same here.
So, but up and down. I've tried to catch some of the preseason games just to see, we acquired Joe Milton. How is he looking? Hasn't looked too great in those preseason games. So, we'll see. I mean, I'm not as high up on Schottenheimer as the head coach, but I like the coordinators that we brought in. So we'll see for this year. I think they're going to be better. The Cowboys are going to be better than what people think, but also I don't have the highest of expectations.
Yeah. I've been less worried about the Micah Parsons thing for a long time because of CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott.
Yep.
I mean, they just got deals done at the end, and Jared likes to stay in the news, and that's it.
Yep.
That's it. And then in the end, he'll spend too much on, and look, Micah's one of the best players in the NFL, but he'll spend too much on him, and it'll be, we don't have any salary cap room to do anything else. because that's what he does.
Yep. If the way that if Micah gets the contract that people think he's going to get when it comes to market value, he'll probably be the highest paid edge rusher in NFL history. I believe if the numbers added up, like 3 players, like half of Cowboys cap space would be dedicated to 3 players. So not ideal.
Yeah, a good place to end this wrestling podcast.
Of course, Dallas Cowboys talk. What else were you expecting?
Forbidden Door comes up with AEW, and we'll have a preview show coming up, but hope you've enjoyed. We kind of went around the horn here and talked a little WWE and a little AAA and a little AEW and some New Japan and lots of things going on in the wrestling world. Hope you're enjoying all of the different coverage here on This Is Wrestling from the WWE Unreal series and the C4 review and the AEW preview show. So some very specific shows this week, along with a general wrestling chat with you and I here. So we've had a lot of different things going on. So always good to talk to you, and we will talk to you very, very soon.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
For Zach McGibbon, I'm Lee Versage. Thanks again for listening to another edition of This Is Wrestling.